Night in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, we had Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter collide in a big ol', just kind of like a yelling match. Just a bunch of stupid people yelling at each other. Honestly, I watched everything live last night. It was pretty interesting, to say the least. I got a question for everybody. When you, if I were to go to this, let's say, for example, I would just do this for straight entertainment, get to see all the yelling matches happen on both sides towards each other. Obviously, this whole thing was peaceful. This is how it probably should be. It's a good, I guess, display of how Rio Rancho in general is a lot more peaceful than a lot of other places, especially Albuquerque. So if you're listening and you're somewhere else around the country, I live in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, which is just outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Rio Rancho is significantly better in basically every way than Albuquerque, especially when it comes to crime, violent situations, speeding tickets. If you ask anybody when they go to Rio Rancho, they're scared to get pulled over for a speeding ticket or something like that. That's because the police presence is so high here. I heard one time that it's like one police officer for every, I don't even want to quote it wrong. There's a lot of police here. Let's just say that. In Albuquerque, it's the exact opposite. There's no police. You'll never get pulled over for a traffic violation in Albuquerque. And I can attest to that. That is a personal experience, okay? And say, yeah, whatever, because you're white or whatever like that. No, that's just the case here in Albuquerque versus Rio Rancho. There's no police in Albuquerque, and there's a ton of police in Rio Rancho. And Rio Rancho is a ton more safer. And everybody that likes peace and quietness lives in Rio Rancho. So when this happened last night, I was pretty interested to see what was going on. So we checked it out live. I think it's funny. I think all these are funny. All the time, everybody goes to these rallies trying to influence people. I get the concept of going to a rally to kind of show support for a candidate or for something. And just the show of people around you can also get you hyped up and excited that you are involved in something that a lot of other people think just like you are involved in. It's good and it's encouraging, and it's good to see that there's people that think like that, like you, that are there. And then we get into the fray where all these people that are talking and yelling at each other the whole time. I just wonder how much of that actually changes anybody's minds, because I was watching the live stream. We didn't go to this just because it was getting late and my wife had to work in the morning, so we didn't go to it, but we watched it live, and it was just a complete crap show. Everything about it, both sides, it was complete crap the whole time. Just a bunch of angry guys yelling at each other, and that's it. Nothing else about it, and saying the most dumb things I've ever heard. And just both, really, it's crazy to see how much everybody's influenced by the media, because both sides were just yelling things that they hear on social media and just the news and things like that, just yelling these sayings and things. For example, I would say some of on the Back the Blue side, we're just bringing up a bunch of points that I hear on Fox News all the time. And then on the other side, the Black Lives Matter, we're just typical Black Lives Matter, saying the same old thing that they always say that doesn't make a difference in any way, shape, or form. And just yelling back and forth, and nobody was listening to each other. It was whatever. But it was pretty interesting to see in Rio Rancho. This brings up a bigger point, though. Rallies and protests, in my opinion, are completely useless. And if you are trying to start a rally or something like that, just be aware of the fact that when you do that, you'll have equal and opposite reaction on pretty much everything you want to get accomplished nowadays. If it's not like saving or like raising money for cancer, then it's pretty much going to be politicized. And that even might be politicized. So who knows? But anyways, I just got to tell you, if you're protesting, if you're rioting, if you're rallying, the only rallies that actually seem to actually go somewhere are the Trump rallies. Went to one here in Rio Rancho. It was pretty dope. It was actually really cool. Everybody was sitting there drinking beers on the back of their trucks because nobody could get in. It was so packed over at the Santa Ana Star Center. So that was really cool. But other than that, rallies, protests, and riots and stuff really don't seem to get your message across very well. So if you are going to be doing one of these things, make sure it's for the right cause. Entertainment, because there's no way you're going to convince anybody else to join your cause by doing what you're doing. Protests don't work. That's it. On both sides, on any side, they don't work. I don't care what you think about it, they don't. If you were to tell me that the Black Lives Matter protests, the peaceful protests, were changing anybody's minds, they're not. They got hijacked by the Antifa people. And Black Lives Matter as a movement does not mean what it actually means. It was a great marketing campaign by them, because if you say something else, then you're automatically against Black lives in general. So great marketing campaign by Black Lives Matter, the movement, but it's a complete scam, Marxist regime, whatever. If you support Black Lives Matter, you don't know what you're talking about. But you could still support Black lives people. You could support everybody. That's the whole point here. The movements and the rallies and the protests are not doing anything for anybody, and you're a fool if you think otherwise. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that one. Let's just keep watching. We'll post more of my opinions on everything coming up. But yeah, so that's it for today.